All right, everybody, get ready, because we are diving deep, deep into royalty, media, and, well, you'll never guess, some pretty insightful magpie stuff. All this from a recent Daily Beast article. Seriously, this thing's got it all. Royal gossip, little bits of history.
It really does highlight something we often talk about, that whole balancing act of a public image, especially, well, for Harry and Meghan, it's tricky. That royal background mixed with, wanting financial independence.
Yeah, talk about a high wire act, right?
No?
And speaking of, did you see this whole thing, this Netflix show Harry's doing about polo?
It does make you think a prince, especially one, well, known for speaking out against wealth inequality, and then there's polo, a sport that, let's be honest, is seen as a bit for the elite.
Definitely raising eyebrows. And get this, the show, not even really about Harry. Seems like it's mostly his friend, Nacho Figueras, the Argentinian polo guy.
Now, that is a detail worth noting. You could argue it points to a bigger problem for the Sussexes, how to use that royal connection, right, for media stuff, but make it work for audiences, actually deliver what's expected.
And word on the street, Netflix. Not thrilled. This Nacho show, as it's being called, rumor is they're saying it's a big nothing burger. Yikes. I've got to admit, I'm fascinated by why this isn't landing the way I guess they hoped.
Makes you wonder, right? Is it the polo itself? Maybe it's just not that interesting to the average viewer, even with the whole royal connection, especially as like a documentary type show. Or maybe it's because it's not Harry-centric enough. He's the one with the name recognition, globally, after all. And this isn't just about one show, their Netflix deal. It's up for renewal soon. So, yeah, pretty high stakes.
Talk about pressure. This is like their future in media production writing on this.
Exactly. This whole thing, it really shows how hard it is to control your own story when you leave an institution, especially one as image conscious as, well, the British monarchy, and do it so publicly.
Really makes you think about the choices they're making and the pressure to stay relevant and to, like you said, deliver those hits.
And while we're on the topic, that article you mentioned, it also talks about Harry's recent trip back to the UK, the Wellchild Awards. A lot of people wondering, will this be it, the time he and King Charles actually, bury the hatchet?
Oh, the royal family drama, right? You
Yeah.
can practically hear the whispers, can't you? Seems like Charles is hesitant. Maybe Camilla's got his ear. And there's that whole security issue Harry's been fighting. So, yeah, lots of tension there.
A very delicate situation. You've got Charles trying to figure out being king, trying to avoid more, well, public family drama. But this trip, it could be huge, a step towards them making up, which, think about it, impacts more than just their personal lives. It could really affect Harry's charity work, too.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't even thought about it like that. How come?
Well, there are a lot of organizations that, frankly, don't want to be associated with someone who is seen as, well, at odds with the crown. It casts a shadow, whether it's fair or not, and then it becomes harder to get funding, support, that kind of thing.
So it really is connected his personal life. I mean, it affects his work. That's wild.
Exactly. High stakes all around, and even more so because, well, they're on that world stage, constantly being watched.
And speaking of high stakes and being watched, okay, this article, it takes a turn. Are you ready for this? Boris Johnson, as in the former prime minister, he's roped into this whole royal thing too.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect him to pop up in this story, but he does. The article talks about how Johnson actually tried to get Harry to stay. Even gave him, get this, a manly pep talk is what he called it.
A manly pep talk from Boris Johnson. Okay, come on, that's got to make you laugh a little.
It's pretty funny to picture, especially because, well, it didn't work at all. The article even says it was totally hopeless. Harry had his sights set on California, and, well, no amount of political persuasion was changing his mind.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any weirder, Buckingham Palace, they're denying any involvement. Like they're trying to back away slowly from the whole thing.
Classic example of royal image control, right? There's this carefully constructed narrative they want out there, and anything that messes with it is, well, quickly swept under the rug.
Or something out of the crown, but, even juicier somehow.
Maybe so. But in the middle of all this drama and speculation, the article actually gives a pretty, humanizing look at the royal family through Johnson's own stories about the Queen Elizabeth. He talks about this barbecue at Balmoral where she's in her element, organizing, even making her own, get this, special vinaigrette.
I love that. It's so different from how we usually think of her, all formal and serious.
Mm,
It reminds you, behind all that, she was a real person with her own things she liked, her own passions.
exactly. And it shows how powerful personal stories can be. They challenge those assumptions we have. We think of people like Queen Elizabeth as untouchable, almost mythical. But then you hear about her loving picnics, being down to earth, and it makes her relatable, almost like you could know her.
It's a good reminder that we're all just, well, human, trying to figure life out. Just some of us on a much bigger stage than others.
And sometimes those different stages of life, they collide in the most unexpected ways. Like Johnson even talks about the last time he saw the Queen. And they actually talked about, wait for it, magpies.
Magpies! The birds! Okay, now you've got my attention. I need to hear this.
Trust me, I was hooked too.
Eh.
Johnson was apparently worried about some magpie superstition, and the Queen, ever practical, told him to just say good morning to it.
No way! That's incredible. The Queen, with everything she had going on, taking the time to give advice about a magpie, it's such a great story.
It really is, and it says a lot about her, don't you think? Practical, able to find the humor in things, even with everything else going on. Like a reminder that even people in the most extraordinary situations, they still deal with the same little everyday things as the rest of us.
This whole deep dive has been full of surprises, I'll tell you. Polo, media deals, royal family drama, and now magpies. What a ride.
It has been, hasn't it? And it all comes back to this idea of image, legacy, and how hard it is to manage what people think, especially when you're trying to balance tradition and, well, reinventing yourself like Harry and Meghan.
It makes you think about the pressure, to live up to what's expected of you. Whether you're, I don't know, a prince trying to make it on Netflix or just trying to figure out your own life, we all have those moments where we're trying to be who we are, but also who everyone expects us to be.
A universal struggle, for sure. And it's even tougher when you're in the public eye, like you said. Every single thing you do, it's analyzed, picked apart.
And sometimes it's the small things, like, I don't know, a quick chat about magpies that tell the real story.
Exactly. That little story about the Queen, it speaks volumes, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like she's saying, don't forget to appreciate the simple things, even with all the bigger stuff going on. Find the joy in the everyday, even the silly superstitions that make us human.
It's like she's saying, even with all the royal duties, don't forget to just, I don't know, be present, enjoy those small moments.
Exactly. And it makes you think about, going back to what we were saying, I mean, are those royal problems really so different from ours? The pressure, the family stuff, always being watched, it's just, well, way more public.
True, very true. Being Harry trying to get that Netflix deal or just, us trying to live our lives, it's all kind of the same human experience in the end.
Right. So when you think about these stories, the polo, the magpies, even the royal drama, what sticks with you? What can we learn from all of this about, I don't know, ambition, what we leave behind, what it means to make your own way, even with all those expectations?
It's been a wild ride today, that's for sure. From big-time media stuff to the Queen just like loving a good barbecue. You never know where these deep dives will take us.
That's the best part. We're not just skimming the surface, right? We're really getting in there, different angles, and I think understanding the world a little bit better because of it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder all of this. Until next time, keep those minds open, keep asking questions, and as always, keep on diving deep.